Remember, when you're working with Microsoft Excel, when you're studying Microsoft Excel, soon you become a genius. Let us continue with working with functions in Microsoft Excel, using statistical functions, using financial functions, testing conditions with if, using date and time functions. Let's have a look at using linked values in formulas, copying formula values, controlling automatic calculations in Microsoft Excel.
Excel offers dozens of functions to perform both simple and complex calculations. In this chapter, you will learn more about the functions offered by Excel, including statistical, financial, logical, and date functions. You will also see how to link a formula from one worksheet to another. And you'll explore ways to customize how Excel performs calculations. Recall that a function is a predefined formula. For example, instead of entering the long formula equals A1 plus A2 plus A3 plus A4 plus A5, you can enter the function equals sum A1 to A5 instead. This spreadsheet uses the sum function and the average function. The average function belongs to a group of functions known as statistical functions. Excel offers several other statistical functions which can help you obtain specific information from your spreadsheet. The max and min functions identify the largest and smallest value within a range of cells. Let's use the max function to determine the biggest expense item in 2022. Recall that all functions begin with the equal sign, followed by the name of the function, and then the arguments in parentheses. For your convenience, the Formula Autocomplete feature has been turned off, so you will not see the functions list as you type. Good. Excel analyzed the range of cells and located the largest number, which is the payroll expense. In this example, you can just see at a glance that payroll is the largest expense. In larger spreadsheets, however, the max function is an efficient way to locate the biggest number within hundreds of cells. The count function counts the number of items within a cell range. This is helpful if you want to determine how many items are in a group. Let's replace the max function with the count function to find out how many expenses are being tracked in 2022. The result shows that there are 7 expense items in 2022. As you work with Excel, you can explore other statistical functions located in the statistical category in the Insert Functions dialog box. For your convenience, the contents of cell B20 will be cleared and another workbook will be opened. Functions can be helpful for calculating financial results. Excel offers sophisticated functions for many common financial tasks. such as determining monthly loan payments and forecasting future values of investments. Organically Sown Farms wants to take out a loan to finance equipment upgrades. To determine the monthly payment options, let's use the PMT, or Payment Financial Function. The PMT function calculates payments by working with three arguments, which must be entered in a specific order. The function syntax is equals PMT rate N per PV. Following is an explanation of each argument. Rate, the interest rate per period. N per, the total number of payment periods. PV, the amount of the loan or present value. In this example, you are going to enter the argument values in the worksheet. Then you will enter the PMT function and use the related cell reference for each argument. Use the following arguments to complete the worksheet. Rate, 0.06 or 6%. N per, 60 months. PV, $30,000. The next step is to enter the formula with the PMT function in cell B8. You can either type it in the cell or use the function's argument dialog box. To ensure that the arguments are entered in the correct order, let's use the dialog box. The PMT function is accessible from the Formulas tab. The Function Library group contains all of the functions offered by Excel. The PMT function is accessible from the Financial button. Recall that the Function Arguments dialog box prompts you through the completion of the formula and offers information to minimize errors. You are going to use the cell references as arguments for the function. For example, the rate argument will be B4 because the interest rate number is stored in cell B4. Notice that the right side of each argument box displays the corresponding value. The formula result is also displayed so that you can check the result before committing the function. The formula result currently shows 1,856.27, which does not seem accurate for these loan terms. The problem is that the rate argument refers to the entire yearly interest rate of 6%. Since the payment period is set in monthly units, the interest rate must also be set to monthly units. To do this, you need to divide the contents of cell B4 by 12. Let's fix the first argument and then commit the result. The payment is almost $600 monthly, which is reasonable. The payment is a negative number, so it appears in red surrounded by parentheses. Since this formula uses cell references, you can modify one of the values in the spreadsheet and immediately see the new result in cell B8. Let's see how the monthly payment changes when the interest rate is set to 5% instead of 6%. Good. As you can see in cell B8, the monthly payment went down to $566.14. You do not have to use cell references in a formula. In this example, it is helpful because you can see the loan terms in the worksheet and change them to get different results. Instead of using cell references, however, you can enter the argument values or constants directly in the formula. This is a quick way to calculate a result without creating a spreadsheet with the argument values. Let's enter a formula in cell B12 using a financial function with constants. Organically Sown is looking at ways to invest its employees' pension fund. The FV, or future value function, calculates the return on an investment based on the following arguments. Rate, estimated percentage earned, such as 7%. NPER, the number of payments made or number of periods. PMT, the amount of the contribution or payment made each period. Let's use the Function Arguments dialog box to enter the FV function. Organically Sown wants to know the investment return on a monthly investment payment of $1,000 for 3 years based on an estimated annual percentage return of 7%. Remember that the percentage rate needs to be divided by 12 since the payments will be made monthly. Also note that the payment amount needs to be a negative number because it represents money being paid into the pension fund. formula result in the dialog box shows that the future value of the investment will be $39,930. Now commit the function. Good! You've successfully used two of Excel's financial functions to calculate monthly payments and an investment return. Next, you're going to learn about the IF function. For your convenience, the FV function will be removed and text will be added to the worksheet. Excel offers a group of logical functions which you can use to create conditional formulas. A conditional formula is one that tests the values in one or more cells and then displays a result based on that test. For example, the IF function can test data in a cell to see if it meets conditions that you specify. If the conditions are met, then the function returns a value that you specify, such as the text true. If the conditions are not met, then it returns another value that you specify, such as the text false. Organically Sown is going to use this spreadsheet to experiment with different interest rates and loan amounts. However, the payment must always remain below $600. Let's use the IF function to generate the message unacceptable if the payment goes above $600, or the message acceptable if it remains below $600. Although you could type this formula directly in the cell, let's use the function's argument dialog box. The IF function is part of the logical group of functions. The first argument, logical test, is used to specify the test that the function should perform. In this example, the test is to see if the value in cell B8 is less than $600. Since the value in cell B8 is expressed as a negative number, then the function really has to test that the value is greater than negative 600. The syntax for that expression is B8 greater than minus 600. Let's enter that now. Excel actually evaluated that test as you entered it. It is displaying the word true to the right of the logical test argument box to indicate that the condition right now has been met. The next argument lets you specify what to display in the cell if the test condition is met. You want to display the text acceptable. When you specify text as an argument in any function, it needs to be surrounded by quotation marks. Finally, you can specify what the cell should display if the test condition is not met. Enter the argument and then commit the formula. As you can see, the specified condition is acceptable. Now let's change one of the terms of the loan and see how that affects both the monthly payment and the results of the IF function. Paying the loan in 48 months instead of 60 months has resulted in a higher monthly payment, which is unacceptable for organically sown. Now, set the spreadsheet back to its previous state by undoing the last action. Just as you can use functions to manipulate numbers, you can use them to manipulate dates and text. Excel has numerous formulas to work with non-mathematical information. Let's work with some of the date and time functions. For your convenience, more text will be added to the worksheet. The Today function simply displays the current date in a cell. The date is updated whenever the worksheet is recalculated or reopened. The Today function generates the date by accessing information from the computer's system clock. This function is easy to enter because it takes no arguments.
You can enter any date using the date function. This function takes 3 arguments: year, month, and day, in that order. Organically Sown wants the loan to be repaid no later than September 15, 2023. Once you enter a date, you can use it in other formulas and functions. A date is really a special type of number, so Excel can use it in calculations. For example, January 1, 1900 is represented by number 1. January 15, 1901 is represented as 381, as that is the number of days after January 1, 1900. Organically Sown wants to know how many days there are between today's date and September 15, 2023. That way, the accountants can see how long it will take to pay off the loan.
To calculate the difference between 2 dates, you can use the Days 360 function. This function calculates the number of days between 2 dates, assuming 12 30-day months, which is the common method of calculating loan payments. Let's enter this formula in cell B14 using the cell references for the start and end dates. Good. The result will be more easily interpreted if it is displayed in terms of months, not days. Let's enter a formula to divide the result by 30.
the loan can be paid off in just over 12 months, which is consistent with the current terms of the loan.
In addition to this equipment loan, Organically Sown has two other loans for equipment. The payments for these loans are tracked in the payments sheet in this workbook. Let's take a look. Here you see the monthly payments for the first two equipment loans. The Equipment 3 payment needs to display the monthly payment for the loan on the loans sheet of this workbook. The monthly payment under the current loan terms is $566.14. Although you could enter the number here as a constant value, the monthly payment might change if the loan terms change. To ensure that this sheet always shows the correct monthly payment, you can link the value from the loans sheet to this sheet. That way, whenever the formula results change in the loans sheet, the value in this sheet will also change. You can link a cell in one worksheet to a formula in another worksheet using the copy command and the paste special dialog box. Let's do that now. Begin by copying the contents of cell B8 on the loans sheet. Good. Now let's return to the payments sheet to link the formula to cell B5. The Paste Special dialog box is accessible from a cell's shortcut menu. The Paste Special dialog box enables you to select the formatting options that can be pasted along with the data in the copied cell or cells. The Paste Link button pastes the copied value as a link into the current cell. Good. The link between the two worksheets is in place. If the payment is later updated in the loans sheet, the new payment will be reflected here. Notice the reference in the formula bar. Excel links to cells in other worksheets and other workbooks using a 3D reference. A 3D reference is similar to a regular cell reference with some added features. Following is an explanation of each component of the reference. Loans, the name of the sheet tab containing the cell, exclamation mark, the symbol used to separate the name of the sheet from the cell address, $B, $8, the cell address using an absolute reference. In this example, you used the Copy and Paste Special dialog box to create this 3D reference. Keep in mind that you can enter a 3D reference yourself whenever you want a cell to contain the value in another worksheet or another workbook. You can even include 3D references in a formula. For example, to add up the values in cell A3 in two other worksheets, you could enter equals sheet 2 exclamation mark $A $3 plus sheet 3 exclamation mark $A $3. Now let's return to the loans worksheet.
The strength of formulas and functions is that you can use them to generate different results based on changing values in the spreadsheet. In this example, the PMT function in cell B8 uses cell references so that if the loan term changes, the payment result changes. Sometimes, however, you might want to use just the value generated by a formula, and you don't want that value to change. Organically Sown wants to store the current payment amount in another cell in the worksheet so that it can be referred to later. Copying the formula would result in the value changing every time the referenced cells changed. Instead, Excel enables you to copy just the value generated by the formula. For your convenience, a label will be added to the worksheet to illustrate this feature.
The copy command in the Paste Special dialog box lets you copy and paste just the result of a formula, making the value independent of the original formula. Let's copy the value in cell B8 to cell B17. Begin by copying the cell contents to the clipboard. Good! The formula itself has been copied to the Office clipboard. You can paste just the value of the formula using the Paste Special dialog box. Now select the Values option, which will paste just the number minus 566.14 to the cell. By default, Excel has pasted the number without any formatting. Let's see what options are offered by the Paste Options button. Here you can choose to paste with regular number formatting or to apply the same formatting as the source. Let's apply the same formatting that appears in cell B8. Good! This number will remain the same even if the values in the spreadsheet and the PMT function change. Now remove the copied contents from the Office clipboard by pressing the Escape key. As you enter formulas and update values in the worksheet, Excel performs the calculations automatically. However, calculations can be quite time-consuming in large workbooks. You can avoid delays by switching to manual calculation, which instructs Excel to calculate formulas and functions only when you tell it to. This option, along with other formula options, are located in the Excel Options dialog box. Let's take a look. The top section contains the options to calculate automatically or manually. Moving your mouse pointer over the eye icon next to Workbook Calculation gives more information about these options. Take a moment to read the information now. Let's change to the manual calculation method. Now let's test this new mode by changing a value in the loan terms, which affects the result generated by the formula in cell B8. As you can see, the formula result has not changed. Notice that the Calculate indicator now appears on the status bar. This reminds you that you need to recalculate the worksheet. When the calculation mode is set to manual, you can click the Calculate indicator or press the F9 key to update the calculations in the workbook. Try this now. Great! The formula in cell B8 now shows the correct result. Notice that the value in cell B17 did not change, since it is no longer tied to the formula. It contains the constant value of minus 566.14. For your convenience, the calculation mode has been set back to automatic. Now save the workbook using the keyboard shortcut. In this chapter, you worked with statistical, financial, logical, and date functions. Specifically, you inserted the max, count, PMT, FV, IF, today, date, and days 360 functions. You linked a cell in one worksheet to a formula in another worksheet, and also copied the constant value of a formula. Finally, you learned ways to control how Excel performs calculations.